Am I the idiot for choosing a holiday over my niece? I, female 27, have been planning a long trip abroad for some time now. I worked remote so it's easy to pick up and go, and this is my first time doing it. I was laid off recently, but since I have a lot of money saved and the trip has already been paid for, I've decided to go for a sabbatical. For months, I have had to convince my parents, grandparents, and siblings that I am going to safe places, that I have enough money, and that they don't need to worry. I finally had them in a good spot. I leave in about 2 weeks. Recently though, things have changed. I normally end up taking care of my niece, female 2, for my sister, female 32, at least once a week. My sister goes to work 3 days a week and works 2 days from home, and her husband, male 39, works from home but has to stay near his computer at all times since he works in customer service. On the weekends, they enjoy going out to things like hockey games, dinner, etc. I normally take care of my niece during those times. It tends to work out because they will go out on Sunday, so I will have my Friday and Saturday nights. But with this trip, of course, I will not be able to babysit. My sister was joking about this one day, and recently my parents have been asking a lot about my trip and what about my niece. I was confused and asked them to elaborate. Apparently, 2 years old is an important time in a child's life, and they said that she wouldn't remember me when I got home. They want me to shorten my non-refundable trip and come home earlier so I don't miss out on any milestones. I told them that I couldn't, and that was final. Now they have been amping up the guilt. They have also gotten my grandparents involved. The only support I have is my brother, male 30, who also never sees my niece except for special occasions. They are also bringing up my recent layoff and my financial state. I don't want to brag, but for a 27-year-old, I have a high enough savings account that I could live for a year and never work. I've been laid off a lot, so savings was a priority. I could still travel and do everything I want. I have no loans, no current apartment now, and have all the big things paid for. But despite knowing I am fine, they are starting to scare me and guilt trip me into staying. Tonight it all blew over. My sister called me in a hole in front of my family since I won't be able to babysit. What is she supposed to do on the weekends? I yelled at her and told her to finally hire a babysitter. My parents are on her side and told me that you should help out more. I yelled at all of them that it was not my responsibility to parent the child. They could live for a few weeks without their free babysitter. I then left. My brother texted me later that they are still angry and disagreed with my choice to continue my trip. Am I the idiot for choosing my trip over my niece? Edit. A lot of people have asked. I will be gone for just under 4 months. I will be traveling around Europe with a short trip to visit a friend in South Korea and coming home. I suppose that would be more than just a few weeks, lol. But not the point. Update. I wanted to answer a few questions. 1. Yes, I have a year's worth of savings. This means that I can pay for rent and other expenses for up to 1 year without a job. 2. I plan on continuing to look for a new position and take interviews when I can. I hope that I can get a new one because in my state I am unable to get a new apartment without proof of income at my age. 3. I only moved back in with my parents temporarily. It's been a month. I wanted to save money and not have an apartment. They are also storing all of my stuff. They are normally okay parents, but they play favorites. 4. I will not go no contact with my family, but maybe low contact. They are important to me. But I will take your advice to stop babysitting every Sunday for my niece. It's obviously been a bad habit for my sister and brother-in-law. On to the update. Today was my niece's birthday. It was a small get-together of my family and some friends, and it was a really good time. After the party, my sister pulled me aside. She apologized for getting my mom up in arms about the babysitting. She knew I wanted to go on the trip. We hugged and I accepted her apology. For your information, my mom and I don't really get along. I don't like how she treats people, and her favoritism has always caused some insecurity. Though she has helped me a lot and I am grateful to her, I will always be the bratty, youngest daughter, and I've come to accept that. Unfortunately, because of her, I have this people-pleasing behavior that I am trying to break out of. Hence the pure turmoil between choosing my trip over my niece. My mom is very controlling. The only reason I am still in contact is because of my dad. He's my best friend. I would hate to leave him behind. He understands my problems with my mom. He hasn't tried to fix much. He doesn't know how, but he listens and takes my feelings into account. It means the world to me. When my mom heard my sister complain, she decided it was going to be a good way to keep me home. She told the family about how a little girl shouldn't be traveling alone. She's mentioned the Natalie Holloway case, and that set a lot of people off. She watches a lot of Lifetime and Dateline. It's why everyone started hounding me in the first place. Then she added on my lack of a job and my other responsibilities, babysitting, so that everyone would agree that I shouldn't go. Now the big update is that I did choose my trip. In fact, I'm planning to extend. Maybe I'll travel more around Asia or go to Australia since I will be over there. TBD. But I wanted to thank everyone for the advice and the good wishes. You all have made me feel so much more confident about this trip. Thanks again, not the idiot. I'm so glad you went and that you are enjoying yourself. Their reasons for stopping you are dumb. A weekly day from child rearing is more than what most people get. Your sister was out of line, especially since your parents or others could help. Happy she apologized and realized how ridiculous she was being. Is she selfish to abandon her niece? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for scaring my wife into being responsible? My wife, female 30, and I, male 35. Bought our house 5 years ago and it needs work, but time and money are always a constraint. Right now, my wife is not working while she goes back to school and I'm working second shift as the sole earner. Since my wife is home more than me, she has been handling most of the work that's been done around the house, including dealing with contractors. She comes from a family of DIers who tend to shoot from the hip with projects, while I prefer to have a plan in place before we do any work. And the most recent projects that she's spearheaded have been, in my opinion, subpar. Some examples: our privacy fence gate doesn't close right and she hasn't gotten the contractor to come to fix it for months. The internet line wasn't buried deeply enough by the contractors, and I think she should have sent them away when they didn't have the right equipment. She decided, without my input, to use a cleanser on our house before retaining it, and the cleaner left streaks in the wood that cannot be covered by the stain. We have a wooden sculpture in our yard that she did not clean and it is dark and dirty and looks like poop. She doesn't see anything wrong with it. Most recently we had gutter work done, and I wanted a gutter put on the back of our new shed. She forgot to tell the contractor where I wanted the downspout and he put it in the opposite corner, so now the water is just going to collect behind the shed, which is exactly what I wanted to avoid. She called me at work to give me this news and I spent the rest of the day frustrated. When I got home, I asked what we were going to do about this and she said something about fixing it ourselves. I told her that it would never be right if we fixed it ourselves, that I already paid for the work to be done right the first time and we're just pissing away money and time with needing to redo all these projects that she's been half-assing. I asked if she even cared about the quality of work that is being done on the house and said that maybe she shouldn't be involved with any more projects on the house unless communication improves. She just sat in silence and slept on the couch without speaking to me. This morning, I asked if she was going to talk to me and she said I don't know. I was exasperated and asked if she could just tell me what was wrong and she replied, I'm scared of you. She told me she wished I had approached the issue by looking for a solution, and I told her that she just doesn't want to be accountable for her actions. She said she just wants us to be partners. I could be the idiot for how I went about telling her about my feelings, but I feel like there's no way for me to give her negative feedback without her freaking out. Am I the idiot for telling my wife that she needs to be accountable for her actions? Update. I posted about 5 months ago about an argument my wife and I had, and I was determined to be the idiot. Original post here. Recently someone commented on that post asking if my wife has left me yet, so I decided to update. A lot of people recognized that the way I spoke with my wife was full of frustration and anger, which was unproductive, but even more than that, it was scary to my wife. Will Ash had an excellent comment pointing out that I was just blowing off steam and that my priority should be my partnership. We covered a lot of topics in the weeks following that incident. We had a couples therapy session to talk about strategies and communication. I saw one of my coworkers react in anger and frustration instead of taking the time to become calm, and realized from the outside looking in just how unproductive his behavior was. And then my wife showed me a section of one of our self-help books. It's called The 5 Personality Patterns, and my therapist had recommended it to me a while back. We had been reading it together, my wife and I, but then we got busy and we stopped. She picked it back up after our fight and read about the leaving pattern. She underlined a bunch of sections and read them to me, and I finally understood. I grew up in a house where my parents screamed and yelled at each other or picked fights in order to storm out of the house, and that's how I used to interpret my wife's silence, as a way to win the fight. In reality, when she became silent, she was terrified. She wasn't stonewalling me, or trying to win the fight by manipulating me, or trying to avoid taking responsibility. She was so scared at that moment that she wasn't even in her body. She couldn't even speak. She was totally dissociated. She told me that even though she knows that how I was acting wasn't objectively scary, that her threshold for shutting down is really low. Realizing how much I scared my wife broke my heart. The descriptions of dissociation in the book were terrifying to me. My wife is the sweetest person. I love her so much and I never want her to experience what she experienced that day ever again. It changed my perspective completely. Ever since my realization, our relationship is better than ever. We laugh and tease each other playfully. We have worked on projects together. We've talked about chores and money. We've even had a couple of fights and resolved them quickly and lovingly. Our communication is better because we trust each other. My wife told me that she has never felt safer or more loved now. I won't say I'm glad the fight happened, but what I realized because of it has been a turning point in our marriage for the better. Not the idiot. I guess I'm the only person who didn't think Opus was the idiot before. It's frustrating to work on a large project with someone who doesn't actually care about the finished result as long as it's done. How many unfinished projects is Opus supposed to look at every day before blowing up after multiple attempts of going behind her to finish her starts? Would you have stuck around after your partner scared you? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot calling my girlfriend selfish for refusing to learn sign language for my daughter? My daughter Ruby was born mute. She can understand words, but we use sign language to communicate. While she can use her phone or write, obviously she prefers to sign. The issue is my girlfriend, Amanda. We've been dating for around 9 months and introduced our children around 3 months ago. They don't know sign language, so communication with Ruby was awkward at first. She hates having to write or use her phone at home. So I taught Amanda some basic signs beforehand, and I've continued teaching her and Mia more in this time. Mia is getting a lot better actually, but Amanda has apparently decided it's too hard and refuses to learn anymore. She says that it's unnecessary since Ruby can understand her and communicate in other ways. While Ruby is usually willing to do that for them, she doesn't enjoy it and finds it frustrating. I told Amanda she's being selfish and lazy, that it's not fair to put all the effort on Ruby. It's one thing if she doesn't get it after years, but it's only been a few months. It's just ridiculous. We got into a fight over it and she basically called me an idiot and said it's not her fault she struggles with it. But that doesn't mean just give up. If she wants to be in our life, it's the bare minimum effort to put in. I clearly think she's just being selfish, while she thinks I'm an idiot and unfair. I vented to my brother and he agreed with Amanda, that I can't force her to learn and not everyone is good with language, and that Ruby doesn't need it and I'm coddling her. I'm honestly still pissed off, but I do love Amanda. She's normally thoughtful and kind, and I guess it's possible it's just me being overprotective of Ruby. I think it's a reasonable expectation, but I'm starting to doubt myself. Update. First, I do want to clear up some stuff. I'm not sure why so many people act like I sprung it on Amanda. I never said I did, and I certainly didn't. I told her upfront about Ruby and was clear that I expected a partner to be willing to put in the effort for her sake. Also, I never criticized Amanda for not being fluent. I had no expectation it would be easy or quick. Hell, I struggled at first. I've never insulted her or had issues with her progress. My only issue was that she refused to try anymore. While my words were immature, it was only after she basically said it wasn't worth learning sign language that I got upset and said it. I find the idea that it's too soon honestly strange. Wouldn't it be worse for us to be engaged or married before I know if she's willing to put in the effort for my daughter? I don't expect perfection, just for her to try. I understand that Ruby needs to be able to communicate in other ways. She has to go to school, but that doesn't mean she should be forced to stay at home. Besides all this, I did consider our relationship serious. I love Amanda. With that aside, I think it's mostly been resolved. Amanda came over and apologized for how she acted. She explained that she had been trying to hide how much she was struggling, and got frustrated seeing how quickly Mia was getting it while she understood nothing. Basically, Amanda was seeing how quickly and effortlessly I was getting close to Mia, and was feeling like she was useless with her lack of progress, especially knowing how important it was to me. We had a long talk about it. I apologized for my immature reaction and explained that it was always non-negotiable for me, and I brought up that if it would make her miserable and resentful, it may be better to separate. Amanda did not like that, and we talked about our relationship and expectations. I considered it serious the moment she met Ruby. While Amanda didn't see it quite the same way, she knew she wanted me in her life and understood that meant she had to try with Ruby. Amanda has decided to find her own professional teaching. She thinks it will be better for her frustration to show there than with Ruby or I. I'll keep teaching Mia because she really enjoys it. It doesn't matter whether she is fluent, as long as she's trying. I know Ruby will appreciate the effort. For now, Ruby will still have to use other methods to communicate. She was anyway, but hopefully one day she won't have to. Unfortunately, my brother stands by what he says. He said that even though Amanda has given in, it was still unfair of me. That I'm lucky Amanda is willing to put up with it. I've honestly lost a lot of respect for him with all this. I don't understand how he can think that about Ruby, and I still. Overall, I'd say it's gone well. Thanks for the advice, whichever way you lent. I think we'll be able to get through it. You're the idiot. Wait, you were the one teaching Mia and Amanda. Then you didn't think that you already knew sign language, and her having difficulty learning as quickly as either you or Mia would have been a challenging and isolating experience for Amanda. Ruby deserves compassion. So does Amanda. Do you have any idea how difficult it is to try mightily, be left behind, and then, instead of having your efforts acknowledged and receiving support and encouragement, to be berated? Everyone sucks here. See, this is what we were talking about with the too soon comments. You're not even on the same page. You're serious, and she isn't that deep yet. But she's meeting your children. Where was the communication, and why did it happen after the kids got involved? I would never meet the kids with someone I wasn't serious about. Am I the idiot for telling my girlfriend that we're done if she doesn't want another kid in the future? Background: I'm 28 with no kids. My girlfriend is 26 and has an 8-year-old son from her previous relationship. She was with the guy since they were kids, but when she got pregnant, he dropped the ball. She had it pretty hard during the early years, and it was a huge struggle for her to balance work, school, and her son. She made it work and is now in law school. The kid's dad made a change about 3 years back when his own father died and has since been helping. We've been together for 1 year and 2 months, and I really do love her. However, when we first got together, she did mention that she doesn't see herself having other kids because it was incredibly hard. She values her time alone when her kid is away, and she wants to travel with her son, being that he's bigger now. Also, that she has a school-age kid and doesn't want to start over with an infant. It was too early for me to complain about it or try to change her mind. It wasn't brought up again for some time. Fast forward to last night. We were watching something and I mentioned that my coworker has left work to have her 4th kid. She said that she couldn't imagine having that many kids. I got a little offended that my parents had 5. She told me that that's what worked for my parents, but it wouldn't work for her. I asked why and she listed the reasons above and that 4 kids is just excessive. I tried to reason it down to 3 or even 2. She said she doesn't want any children but her son. The way I see it, the only reason it was so hard was because of her age when she first had him. My logic is that any future children we produce will be secure and she won't be alone or have to struggle. For background, I have 4 siblings while she has 1 sister who lives in another state. She doesn't understand how important siblings are. I told her if she's unwilling to have even 1 child for me in the future, then we're done. She agreed and said we're done then, and I'm incredibly hurt. This is a hill she's willing to die on. She's super smart, but so hard-headed. No matter what I said all night, she wouldn't hear it or budge her views at all. I'm hurt because I made the empty threat and she very easily went through with it. I'm not feeling valued at all. I love this woman and the thought of us having an expiration date kills me. I want to marry her and have kids with her and she's just uninterested. She also said I was being an idiot and not taking her experiences into account when I totally am. I acknowledge how hard it was for her, which is why I think she would have a totally different experience if she tried again. She's not 18 anymore and will have me by her side. I want her back but don't know what to say. She seemed very certain when she agreed to the breakup. Please tell me, am I the idiot? Update. Well, it's been about 3 weeks since my post and my breakup, and it took almost that full time to let it sink in what I've really done. I self-wallowed for some time and attempted to guilt trip her and get my siblings to talk to her for me. What a mistake that was. She called and ripped me a new one worse than you guys did. She told me that she was thrilled we're not together and that I'm manipulative and disgusting. That left me really shocked, and I had to review my behavior over the time we had been together. I think over my life I always had an idea that with enough perseverance anyone's mind can be changed. I don't know where I got this from. I guess I thought it was a sign of being a strong person. Like taking what you want from life even when the chances are slim. It sounds stupid because it is. I reread my post just now and cringed the whole way through. Even the language I used showed that she was right and I am manipulative. She's a human being and I didn't treat her with respect. I played with our relationship to get her to change her mind about something very important to her. I deserve what happened. I also have realized that our views on the relationship were a little different. She had never brought up marriage or anything while it had crossed my mind almost daily because I really was so enamored. So I probably looked insane going on about having 3 children. It sounds so stupid to me now. Among the things she said on the phone, one was that she found my lack of respect for her body and choice as appalling. I wasn't asking her to be forgiven, but I wanted to express how much her and her son meant to me. And as most dumb people tend to do, I couldn't even give a poop about what I was bitching about in the first place. I miss going to the park with her and her son. Those days were nice and calm and I didn't appreciate them. I let some fictional children and my bad habits ruin something good. I have a lot of self-reflecting to do, and while I'm still sad, I know now that her dumping me was really for the best. Thanks guys for being honest. You're the idiot, considering she told you this pretty much from day one. You're also an idiot for making an empty ultimatum about it and then whining about how she called your bluff. You complain about not feeling valued when you aren't listening to or valuing her input at all. YTA. J. Jessis, if someone doesn't want kids you can't make them. The sibling thing isn't really an argument at the moment. You are looking at a 10-year gap and it's very rare to get a sibling relationship with that kind of gap. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for not wanting my sister's gross dress? Recently, my cousin got engaged and is planning to wed next month. He gave our family money to buy a dress for the wedding. Let's say it's around $600 to split up against 5 family members. My sister, female 21, bought 2 expensive dresses for the wedding. She said she initially planned to buy one but somehow ended up buying 2 as she really liked both. My brother, male 14, got himself a really good suit. Not expensive as my sister's but still pretty good. My parents also got themselves nice dresses and I, female 19, was the last one. Turns out every single dollar is spent. Before you ask why I didn't buy it sooner, I thought we'll all get together but my sister and brother went shopping one day. I had an internship that day. My parents also went after that. When I asked about it, my parents just told me to borrow one of my sister's old dresses. I simply refused and asked them to buy me a new one. Then they told me if I buy a new expensive dress instead of wearing my sister's, I won't be buying clothes for the next couple of months, which I can't because I'll be needing casual clothes for wearing at home and for going out. Let me tell you what, being a middle child sucks. All my life, I've been either using my sister's or buying the cheap ones compared to my sister. Not just clothes, literally everything. Even my college fund was used for my sister, just because I was able to secure a 95% scholarship. I'm a really good student. They did ask me before taking the money out. I said okay because it happens every time. All the money they've saved for me or they gave me has been taken back by parents or sister and only paid back a little so far. So am I the idiot? Thank you so much for all your opinions. It was really helpful. As many of you were saying, I've decided to stand up for myself and I'm not going to accept this kind of treatment anymore. Back to the story. I called my cousin and told him about what happened. He understood the situation and called my parents. With my mom asking about the wedding plans, he casually mentioned that he saw a cute dress which will suit me and that I haven't bought any dress yet. I should buy that one. So he asked for a refund of my share. My mom tried to manage the situation by saying that I already have one, but he was firm in buying the one he saw. This was all made up by my cousin to ask for the money in a non-hurtful or non-suspicious way. Eventually, my parents transferred my share of money to him. No, my sister didn't return her dress. He mentioned that he's going to take me out next weekend for shopping as well as dinner with his fiancée. They offered and I declined, but they insisted, saying it's not a big deal, they're both so sweet. Somehow, my sister ended up hearing this. She came to me saying that she will come along and that it's unfair I'm the only one going out with them. She didn't talk much or formed a nice convo when we first met his fiancé, so they didn't invite her. I replied, maybe you should have been a little nicer instead of acting like a spoiled brat. And you finished your shopping already, so you literally have no right to come along. So stop being so entitled and suck it up. They don't want you to come, which pissed my sister off. My parents didn't take her side this time and remained silent, which even more pissed her. Gosh, I loved the look on her face when she walked out. She was really frustrated and was on the verge of tears. But I don't feel guilty. In fact, I've never felt any better. Edit 1. I'd like to add one thing, that my parents didn't cut my casual clothes budget, thankfully. 2. Many of you were concerned about the dress, so I took your advice, and to be on the safe side, I'll ask my cousin if he's okay with keeping the dress. Most probably he'll say yes, so no worries. Not the idiot. Your sister shouldn't get 2 dresses when there wasn't enough money for you to get one. She should have been made to return one so that there was money for yours. If they're letting her keep 2, they should buy you one, and it shouldn't count against other clothes you get. It should count against hers because she's the one who got an extra dress she doesn't need for the wedding. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for making my teenage son and daughter share a bedroom? My husband unexpectedly passed away a few months ago, and I became a single mother to 3 kids, age male 16, female 14, and female 2. Due to the significant decrease of income, I was no longer able to continue renting where we were, and all I can afford is a 1-bedroom apartment. Currently, I am sleeping in the living room with my youngest female 2. I gave the bedroom to my male 16 and female 14 and asked them to share in the meanwhile. I tried adding a privacy screen in the middle so they feel like they have their own space, but they are telling me that this isn't acceptable. Each of my kids used to have their own rooms, so this is a massive change for them. I have been looking for a better paying job for months and so far have had no luck. I can't get a second job because I can't afford to pay someone to care for my daughter female 2 outside daycare hours. Neither of my kids male 16 and female 14 are willing to help, and they say my youngest is not their responsibility. I know this situation isn't ideal, but I don't know what else I can do. For the past month, I've not been eating anything for 2 days a week and just telling the kids I'm trying out the fasting trend for weight loss purposes. But the truth is, I can't afford to feed us all, and I have been using the food bank. Prior to this, I had never had to use food bank services before, and I am so thankful that it exists. I am both thankful and deeply ashamed at the same time. Would I be the off for telling my teens that they must share the bedroom? Would it be better if I suggested my son sleep in the living room with me and have both my female kids share the bedroom instead? I do not live in the US, but it is not common for teenagers of the opposite sex to share a bedroom. That is something I do absolutely recognize. Edit. Gosh, I really wasn't expecting so many responses when I checked back. Thank you, everyone. All this time, I did feel it would be unfair to put adult problems on my kids. However, I will be giving them a surface level talk about our finances. I'll also be bringing them with me to the food bank. Hopefully, they'll be more understanding. Edit 2. The bedroom is larger than the living room. I am able to fit 2 single beds into the bedroom, and the kids have space to store their clothes while still having the room divider in the middle. The living room is smaller. I currently have my youngest and my own clothes stored in the hallway due to lack of space. It is right next to the washroom and kitchen, so there is a lot of foot traffic. The living room also doubles as dining space because there is no dining room. Update. I had a chat with my kids after work. I still don't want to put an adult problem onto my kids, so I only gave them a brief overview of the dire financial issues we're having after my husband, their father, passed away. Us downsizing to a 1-bedroom apartment was not by choice. I also told them the truth about how I couldn't afford to feed us all and why I didn't eat 2 days of the week. I was afraid of how they would take the news, but it had gone better than I expected. My kids will be coming with me to the food bank for the next trip to help out. In terms of the rooming situation, both my older kids agreed that they did not want to share a room with my youngest female 2 because she frequently wakes up at night and also has accidents. They also don't want to share with me because I get up much earlier than them to work, and it would disrupt their sleep. They would rather share the room with each other while I continue to sleep in the living room with my youngest. My male 16 and female 14 told me that their friends were saying no kid should ever have to watch their sibling because they didn't create them. They've been told by their friends that it's parentification to be asked to babysit for even an hour, and it is never okay in any circumstance. That was why they kept calling me an idiot when I asked if they could help with childcare so I could get a second job. Now that they know how bad the situation is, my son said he wants to find a part-time job to help contribute. My daughter apologized and said it wasn't that she hated me or her sister. Both my son and daughter said they are willing to help take care of the youngest so I can get a second job. Hopefully, I can find something soon and be able to move to a larger space. You're the idiot. They are kids and you are trying to take that away from them. Yes, I can see where you are coming from, but you understand that you are asking too much. You need to take a hard look in the mirror and do better. Not the idiot. Explain to the kids what is happening and that you are trying to fix the situation. Take them to the food bank with you. They need to know that you're doing your best during a difficult time. You don't need to hide this from them. Am I the idiot for refusing to leave my friend's baby shower just because my ex didn't want her boyfriend to see me? She's not technically an ex since we were never in an actual relationship. I, male 26, was back home for a few months almost 2 years ago. We hooked up for I'd say 4 months until I flew back out of state for work again. Her and I didn't see each other again just recently at this baby shower. I guess they became friends through this mom group. My friend has one other kid, and they became good friends, so that's why she was also invited. And I was gonna say hi when I saw her there, but she ignored me. Then that's when I noticed she was there with her boyfriend and their baby, so thought it was better to keep my distance. But she actually approached me like 10 minutes later by the bathroom in the house. She asked me if I could leave because she's with her BF, and it's just very awkward with both of us there at that party. But like, I haven't even approached them at all, so why would it be awkward if we don't interact during the party? She wasn't letting it go. She actually told me please, and it's complicated. I told her if her boyfriend doesn't know we have a history then he won't need to, because I honestly don't care. All I'm doing is being here celebrating one of my close friends' days, so if she leaves me alone I'll leave her alone. That didn't end up being the case. They left not even an hour later. I kept my word though about not going near them, but one of my friends told me her boyfriend saw me and for whatever reason they started arguing. It wasn't subtle either. They went to the front of the house, but you could still hear what sounded like them raising their voice at each other. And a few minutes later I saw her walking to my friend, probably telling her bye, but she definitely looked right at me after that like she's super pissed. Everyone at the party was confused afterwards, so they were all talking about it for the rest of the time. For the first time in a long time she texted me since I never changed my number. She told me thanks for ruining a party when all of this could have been avoided. I asked her what could have been avoided, but again she didn't tell me. She just thinks it's my fault for whatever poop went down. Then after my friends found out she asked me to leave, they think I'm tough for not doing that. The whole party was meant for my friend and it turned into some drama just because I wouldn't leave even if it was for some unknown reason. I what to think now, or why it was such a big deal that we were at the same party when neither of us even talked at all. Am I the idiot for being the cause of a scene because I denied her request? Update. Just so she hears it from me first, like a commenter suggested I do. She had no idea my ex and I had a past, but she told me it was fine. The party was awkward after, but that's on them and she doesn't blame me. It was great to hear because this was meant for her to celebrate her baby. And as her friend I wanted to be there celebrating with them. Obviously all of you want to know the answer to the main question, if this baby was my kid or what was their deal after all. We talked on the phone. She went first and beat me to that topic. Probably read my mind because she started off by telling me she had something important to talk about after apologizing for blaming me about the party. To sum it up, we agreed to get a paternity test done ASAP because I couldn't handle this curiosity. It was already driving me crazy. He is definitely my kid. I've looked at the results a million times since they got back. But she already knew my son was mine. She found out she was pregnant after I left. She didn't want to tell me because when I went back for work she wasn't told until after I'd already flown back. And that hurt her. Since it seemed like I didn't care much, she was scared I wouldn't be willing to go back and help take care of our kid. This was hard for me to hear. I was actually crying when we talked about it in person. I'm still in shock learning this, but she let me come meet him a day ago and it was emotional AF. Holding him really got me. He's so damn big already. That whole day I spent it with my son, then we stayed up late talking about how we're gonna do this then. This is new to me, so we're gonna go with the flow. But holy frick, I have a son. That's so crazy, right? Far as her boyfriend seems like wasn't cheating. At least from what she told me in the little bit of info I got from him, which he was pissed about. They weren't exclusive either, but after she got pregnant he was only willing to be around as long as I wasn't. And obviously seeing me pissed him off because he thought I was still living out of state. It's a mess right now, but he doesn't want to be around if I am. But my son is my kid. She told me not to worry about their relationship because the only thing she wanted was to make sure my son had a dad in his life. Even if I've got no idea what I'm doing, being his dad is what I want to be for him. We already missed each other all this time. I'm excited to see him again tomorrow. Not the idiot. Awesome to hear, Opus. But I would consider getting legal advice and some kind of custody agreement. She didn't tell you and she knew the baby was yours and the BF doesn't want you around. To ensure you're always in your kid's life, I'd want a legal custody agreement. Not the idiot. Damn, wait. So she was actually using the BF all along, so the son had a father figure, and now that you're here she's cool with him leaving. She also didn't tell you about your child because she was upset with you for leaving. I mean, it's great you're spending time with your kid, but get your ass to family court and get some type of child custody situated. This woman seems to use men based on how she needs or feels about them. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for ruining my future Syl's wedding to be? So I, 30, male, have been with my BF, 34, male, for 2 years. My mother is very homophobic and basically cut me out when she found out I was bi back when I first finished college. All my life she would try to control me. She would try to control what I wear, who I hang out with, only to fit her definition of the perfect son. For example, I like to knit and she would throw away all my knitting accessories because it wasn't a hobby for boys. I always told her it's her own goddamn fault for sending me to an all-boys school and that I had eyes. My siblings have always been supportive of my lifestyle and we're very close. My older brother is getting married to his GF of 5 years and they will get married in July 2022. His fiancée is awesome, but her family is also very homophobic. Her mother and mine get along very well and do many activities together. I have gone LC with my mother over the years. I love my brother's fiancée, but she has a tendency of trying to please everyone around her, which means that when I got my invitation for the wedding, lo and behold, I was the only one with no +1. At first I thought it was a mistake, so I contacted his fiancée, since I knew she was the one taking care of the guest list and the RSVP, and she told me that they had to cut down the number of invitations because of COVID. But I checked with my siblings and all of them got a +1. This really upset me and my BF, since he is very close to my brother. They went to uni together. I contacted my brother, who of course had no idea that I didn't have a +1 and told me he'd take care of it. I then received a bunch of text messages from my sister-in-law berating me for talking to my brother and that I should have just taken the one invitation. She told me she did this to prevent any problems with me and her side of the family, and my mother. She also told me that she didn't want me and my BF to be the center of attention at her own wedding. She told me that she'll give me the +1 but that I'll be ruining her wedding. I've talked to friends and my siblings and they're mostly on my side, but some have told me that it's her wedding and that she has the right to invite who she wants. I think I might be the idiot because my mother's subtle homophobic remarks don't affect me anymore, but I don't think it'll be fair to let my BF be subject to them and her family's homophobia, and that it is indeed her own wedding. Edit, hello. Thanks for all the comments. I'll try to read all of them. I noticed some of you questioning my use of the word lifestyle. And honestly, it's how I've always referred to my life. It's how my mother always referred to my life growing up and it stuck with me. I feel like it's something I internalized, but I see how it can be detrimental to our identity. Edit 2. I haven't shown my brother the texts yet. My BF and he are supposed to have a gaming night in a couple days. My BF and I discussed what we should do and we'll talk to him then. I think you're right, and that I should show him her texts. Update. After my BF and my brother had their gaming night, my BF called me over to our gaming room and we talked to my brother. We told him we both loved him but decided to not attend the wedding. My brother was obviously upset, until I followed the advice of many of you guys and showed my brother's my future sister-in-law's texts. To say he was livid was an understatement. He actually called up my sister-in-law in front of us and demanded that she apologize to both me and my BF. She did, but defended what she did and explained her reasons to my brother, the same reasons she gave me when I first confronted her. He tried to argue with her but she told him that she'd talk to him once he came back home and hung up. It took some time, but my BF was able to calm him down and we talked about everything. He told us he completely understands if we decided not to attend, and that he would never hold it against us, even though he would love for us to attend. He told us he would never want us to degrade ourselves just for his fiancée's happiness. He ended up spending the night at our house because I didn't want him driving when this upset. In the end we couldn't sleep and we talked almost all night. He told me that he sees my sister-in-law in a new light now, since he feels like her family will have too much power over their relationship. Our mother knows that she doesn't have that kind of power over us, but he's scared that his mother-in-law would try to control his future wife. In the end, he told me that maybe he didn't want to attend his own wedding. I told him to get some rest and to really think about it before doing anything reckless. He slept until 1 p.m. and then went back home. We got a text a few days later telling us the wedding was officially on a hiatus and that my brother and his fiancée are on a break. We told him that he could move in with us for now if he needed space from his fiancée, and he agreed. In the end, both my BF and my brother told me I did the right thing by showing him the texts, because he deserved to know who he was about to marry, not the idiot. I love your brother. He did absolutely the right thing. Too often on this sub we see people being asked to hide who they are for the sake of keeping peace. It restores my faith in humanity to see an update like this, not the idiot. You have handled this perfectly well, and your brother is better off knowing and making a decision based on that. This has probably made the rest of his life a lot better, and marrying his GF and her parents' influence would have made his life much harder. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for respecting my late wife's wishes about keeping her family out? My wife unfortunately passed away last year when our daughter was only 3 months old. It was very difficult to get through, but my little girl and I are keeping it together. My daughter is 16 months now and there's been pressure from my wife's sister to let her side of the family see my daughter. The issue is my wife had absolutely no contact with her family since she was 18, so 16 years of not seeing them. Her home life was something she never wanted to talk about. It always made her upset, so I never pushed her to tell me. All I know is they were manipulative and abusive in some form. She left as soon as she was 18, changed her last name, and never spoke to them again. 4 years ago she got into contact with her older sister, and she's the only person my wife allowed into our lives. By that I mean we met through video chat but never actually in person. We still maintain contact after my wife passed, and we met a couple times before and during my wife's funeral. My sister-in-law called me a few weeks ago. She mentioned her parents would really like to meet their granddaughter and want to start over. They didn't attend my wife's funeral because they knew she wouldn't want them to be there. One thing my wife always made clear is that she did not want them near our daughter, ever. Telling my sister-in-law this well, she got very upset. She said it's been years, and yes, her parents were awful people. Again, won't say exactly what they did, but losing their daughter has made them reflect on things. And they want to meet my daughter since my wife never gave them that chance. She's still trying to convince me, and so far I've said no. Each time I just feel more and more bad for denying them, but it's what my wife wanted. Her parents found my Facebook. Pretty sure sister-in-law might have told them. And I've gotten dozens of messages begging me to let my daughter know her mom's side of the family. And I shouldn't keep her from knowing her grandparents for past mistakes. None of them will leave me alone, and sister-in-law has said a few times that I may be grieving losing a wife, but to have some empathy for them losing a child. Because right now I'm being too heartless for denying them the chance to meet the only piece of my wife they have. I don't know the whole reason why my wife never wanted to see them again. Even if I did though, I'd still like to honor her wish. The way they are being, however, makes it hard not to wonder if I am. Update. Yes, in the end I did decide it was best to cut off all contact. Not only with my wife's parents but her sister too. I tried to get through to her many times about why I'd like to respect my wife's call on this since she knew her family best, and what they did. Despite all the reassurance that her parents have changed, she still refused to actually say what went down, so that was not at all convincing for me. Once I blocked them all, I was getting calls from different numbers the following days. I sent one final message to her sister stating they're never allowed near me or my daughter, and if they ever tried to come harass us I will get authorities involved. Since then it was radio silence for the last couple weeks, but I decided to play it safe a few days ago and changed my phone number. I've also deleted my Facebook since I don't use it that often, but have put my other social media accounts in private. Got many great suggestions from many of you about how to make sure they have absolutely no access to my daughter, so I really appreciate that. I've saved a few of these comments in case I need some extra tips in the future as my daughter gets older and starts school. Since I last posted and have cut contact, I feel like I can finally breathe. You have no idea how stressful and draining the whole thing was for me, so really, thank you all for the help. I've been more at peace putting this all behind me and focusing on my beautiful little girl. Just wanted to leave this update since I know there was a lot of concern about how this would all play out. Not the idiot. Please tell me you have a will and a plan if, God forbid, anything happens to you. These people have shown themselves to be untrustworthy in regards to your child. Not the idiot. It's truly a shame that you've had to go to such great lengths, but as the saying goes, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Your wife knows those people best, and you need to trust her. Don't let your guard down.